So welcome, friends. Let's settle in. I would invite you just wherever you have landed for these minutes, just to get the body to a point of comfort and ease. And then just give your mind permission to follow. Let the body get comfortable. Give it permission to adjust as it needs to adjust. And give that same permission to your mind. And then as you gently allow the eyes to close, or you just soften your gaze, see if you can find that connection or feel that connection between the body and those physical sensations and the mind. All the movement, as well as the stillness that we experience in our mind. You may not feel yet the full unity between the two, but see if your disconnect between the two can feel just a little bit less. My body is relaxed. My mind is at ease. My mind is quieting a bit. My body is becoming rested. And just kind of experiment with those ways of connecting the two as we spend our few minutes together today. We are at that point on this journey through the Yoga Sutras that we're going to sit with each of these yamas, these tattvanam, these incredible vows that we make for our interactions with the world. And then we're going to sit with each of these niyamas, these personal vows that we make to ourselves of how we're going to interact with us. And so we'll spend time in the coming days just with each one, trying to solidify their place in our life and trying to really care for the vibration that we send out as we move through the world. Both the vibration that we feel on our own bodies and the vibration that others feel when they're around us. And so as we're settling, let's just take a couple breaths here. So just slowly breathing in and then slowly breathing out. And a breath in and a breath out. Let's just go one more together, breathing in and breathing out. In Yoga Sutra 235, I love this translation that I'm going to share with you about this first yama of Ahimsa, the yama of non-violence, the yama of not harming. It says, in the presence of one who is firmly established in Ahimsa, all hostilities cease. So let's listen to that again. In the presence of one, that's you and me, firmly established in Ahimsa, all hostilities cease. And so this translation, and there are many more very similar to it, is basically saying when we are so personally rooted in this idea of not causing harm with our thoughts, our words, our actions, it begins to have a vibrational quality. And then what happens is as we encounter hostilities or anger or violence or discord in our everyday lives, rather than those things shifting their vibration onto us, we become the force of a vibration of peace. All because of the work that we're doing internally to cultivate this idea of Ahimsa, this vow to not harm. And I don't think it's an accident that this is the first one that Patanjali gave us, and all the ones that follow have their rooting in Ahimsa. I like equating it to this idea of mountain pose in yoga. There's this saying by so many of the great old teachers that from Tadasana, from mountain pose, all the other poses come. They all have their rooting in the solidity, in the grounding of mountain pose. I think that Ahimsa is our mountain pose of these yamas. It's our mountain pose of these vows that we make. Because without this commitment to non-harm, we will find that the others are really challenging to live by. So again, I think it was very purposeful how he gave us this one first. So what does it look like to live from this place of not harming? None of us, as we show up to meditation, would ever guess that we have harmed. It's not our intention. We strive to live this life of peace and calm and ease. We practice it here in meditation, then we go out there and we live it. But the reality is, harm is happening every day. And there are chances that some of that harm is coming from us. So how do we prevent it? How do we end or stop that line of harm from us? First, we have to commit to it. And then we have to be so open to being aware that when things bubble up in our minds or things kind of prick our spirit that tell us this might be one of those things that you really need to look at. This might be one of those areas that you really need to study a little deeper, because there's a chance that there's some harm. There's harm coming from you and you didn't even intend it. Again, we don't set out intentionally to do this, but this practice helps us cultivate true acute awareness so that as we continue to examine our lives, as we continue to know ourselves better, we will become aware of those spots that need some refinements. We're not setting out to hurt anyone. We're not setting out to hurt the planet. But are we setting out to truly be agents of non-harming in this world? To truly have a vibrational quality emitting from us where the non-harm way of living is felt by others. Maybe you're in a spot where you can say that about yourself and you just affirm it and cultivate it and nurture it. But if you're like me, it's a daily journey. And I feel like almost every day I'm made aware of one new thing, one new thought pattern, one new way of looking at how I talk, one new reminder about how I get impatient or how I interrupt. And on the grand scheme of things, those things may not rank very high on the level of harm. But if they're not of benefit to everyone around me, I need to look at them again. And so each of us have those things. Some of the harm happens in our head. The world never hears it. The world never sees it manifest into action. But the world will also not feel our vibration of ahimsa, our vibration of non-harming ways of living, if we're blocking it with harmful thoughts. I've struggled with this a lot in the last few months. I struggled with it a little bit after the election, and I've struggled with it a lot since January, of in the mornings waking up. And once I've gone through my schedule of my morning, my meditation time, I, like so many of us, open up some app to see who's saying what about whom. and whose opinion is being shared and reshared. And I found in the course of many weeks that meditation time I had experienced just moments before was actually getting undone by me just mindlessly scrolling and reading everyone's opinions about everything that's happening in our country and our world. And I'm not saying that we can't take a stand, and I'm not saying that we can't have opinions. But what I was finding in my own life is, as I read just meanness and anger, it was undoing what my meditation practice had just done that morning, which means the world's not going to feel the vibrational quality of this non-harming way that I'm trying to live. And I wish I could tell you that I've just stopped looking and stopped scrolling. I'm not quite there yet, but it has decreased substantially. I've kind of quieted some people who maybe I've watched on social media for a while, and now I won't watch them for a little bit, just to let things begin to simmer. And it doesn't mean that they can't talk about the things that they're passionate about. It just means that coming into my space was not allowing me to live a life, a vibrational quality of non-harming. And so social media may not be your thing that you struggle with. It may not be the thing getting in the way of the world feeling the vibration of you and your meditation practice and the peace that you're cultivating. But chances are you have your thing. And so as we become aware of it, then we have a choice to do something about it. And I know that every day I wake up, and as I smile about the new day, I commit my intention to live from a place where the 8 limbs of yoga vibrate out from me in every space that I enter and every conversation that I have. And if a behavior is made known to me that's getting in the way of that, then I need to let that behavior go. That is what I think Ahimsa looks like. And so as we just sit for just these next just moments of silence, I'd ask each of us, what's blocking your vibration of Ahimsa, of true, non-harming ways of being? What's getting in the way of the world feeling it everywhere you go? And are you willing to be open to noticing what those things are? And then deciding when it's time to let them go. Because the number one thing our world needs right now, our country, our communities, our neighborhoods, our workplaces, they need vibrations that they can feel on their body that are filled up with non-harming, peaceful ways of being. So what will that look like for you? as you continue to breathe and just reflect and be open, I want to go back to how that translation read of this Yoga Sutra. It said, in the presence of you and me, when we are firmly established in Ahimsa, of living a life of non-harm, the hostilities around us will cease. I think that's something that we all desire in our life, to have the hostilities at least lessen, and then over time ultimately cease. And what Patanjali was saying 2,500 years ago is that the power to have that happen lies with you and me. Ahimsa, living a life of no harm, which is synonymous with living a life grounded in peace and loving kindness. And as we close out our time, I would encourage each of us, just be open. It's not a time to judge ourselves. It's not a time to judge others. It is just a time to be open and aware and reflective. Namaste.